So the long-awaited Gran Turismo 7 is finally out, and as you can see, it is behind me there, ready to go, all set up. Now, we've already done quite a few live streams, I've already played this game quite a bit, and all round I have to say that it is absolutely epic. But here are 8 things, yes, 8 things that really annoy me about this game that I think could be improved to make this the all-round 10 out of 10 game that it deserves to be. So we'll jump behind the wheel, let's get into it, see what we think. So point number 1 is the introduction video. Now, this isn't the introduction video itself. The actual opening titles are incredible. They look amazing, sound amazing, everything about it, and from a video standpoint as well, is absolutely incredible. However, I did think that I was being forced to watch it a few too many times, and it turns out that this one is my stupidity. I was pressing X. I was sat there through it for the second, third, fourth time. It starts to get a bit boring, and I was trying to skip it, and I couldn't. And it turns out that you can only do that through pressing circle, which is a little bit weird. I thought it would have been, you know, press any button to skip. It doesn't say that on the screen, but it also doesn't tell you that circle is the button to skip. So 3 times I watched through that entire kind of like 10-minute video without realizing that circle would skip it for me. So it turns out they just don't tell you how to skip it. So that is point number 1 for my bugbears of Gran Turismo 7. Point number 2 is the amount of time it takes to unlock stuff via the campaign. Now, this can be seen as good or bad depending on your viewpoint. For me, I started playing GT Sport. That was what got me into Gran Turismo. And so compared to that game, it seems as if I am on this one for an absolute eternity to unlock everything that I need. I certainly don't remember doing that much work on the licenses and all that sort of stuff in GT Sport. However, I did start playing it during the 2020 lockdown, and that was all a bit of a blur, so maybe I did spend more time than I do recall on that. But for me, it does seem to be taking a little while to get through everything. But depending on your viewpoint, depending on how much you enjoy the game and what areas of the game you like, that could be seen, I guess, as good or bad. That said, having to unlock multiplayer I didn't think was too bad an idea. It certainly does stop entry-level or novice racers jumping straight into the lobbies and going in and killing everybody. So it does kind of prevent that a little bit. You have to get up to menu 9 in this game to unlock multiplayer. I do think that in terms of the licenses, it would be good if there was some education on racing side by side and racing etiquette, a little bit more on actual competitive racing to, again, prevent novice or beginner racers jumping straight into a lobby without that understanding and immediately murdering everyone. We do already have a few license tests and missions that require you to not hit a car, to actively avoid cars in the game, because if you do so, you get disqualified. And I think something like that, kind of racing side by side, overtaking cars through corners or late lunges, something like that would be really good. Again, just to prevent people, you know, sort of developing the habit, I guess, of punting their way through the grid, especially when it is very easy to do that against the AI, who will not retaliate in the same way that people do in the lobbies. Number 3 on my list of bugbears, I'm very sorry to say for many people, is the cafe, or the cafe if you're a horrific Geordie like me. Now, this is going to divide opinion hugely, and I will say from the off, as I've already said, I started playing Gran Turismo only a mere few years ago, so I wasn't there in the good old days of Gran Turismo 4, which I know this cafe and this kind of world map is embedded from. I know that a lot of people love that. They were very excited and happy to see it return. For me, I'm just personally not a fan of it. However, Polyphony did say that they were going to put a much bigger focus on the campaign mode, the single player mode, and I think this cafe and this kind of world map definitely does that. For me personally, I feel that it is a little bit too gimmicky without wanting to offend too many people. But you know, they've put the emphasis on the single player. They've certainly managed to achieve that. And I think that's fair enough, because Gran Turismo Sport, for me, had the ultimate multiplayer setup. Yes, things got a little bit repetitive in the sport mode and combinations and all that sort of stuff, but in terms of how it actually worked and the flow of it, I think, you know, very difficult to improve on that. So I can see why their main focus has become the campaign and that sort of thing, and maybe the cafe and the world map does sit better with that. But for me, as I say, just the overall, I'm too used to GT Sport, basically, that's all I can say. I'm not a huge fan. So gripe number 4 on this list is that Daily Race C, as it stands at the point of recording this video, is not available. Now, there are some mixed sources on this and some mixed information. At first, we were led to believe that maybe we had to unlock Daily Race C, which would have been quite a good feature. But as it stands at the moment, I think the rumours are that we may see it on the 7th of March, comes from one source, and the 10th of March or the 14th of March is the other source that tells us when we will see Daily Race C. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what combinations and how it varies Daily Race A, B and C. But as it stands, mixed views, mixed sources of information, mixed information itself on when we will see it, how we will see it and what that will present. So number 5 on my list of things that grind my gears is the sport mode and the tuning. So there is a huge emphasis this time round on this game versus previous Gran Turismos on tuning. I think many of us will be the first to admit we don't have a huge understanding on it, particularly if your Gran Turismo days are rooted in GT Sport, like mine. Many of us lack the understanding, and so this time round it's going to be a good idea, I think, to get a good grip and a good understanding on how the tuning works, how it affects the cars and all that sort of stuff, especially if we're able to take it into a race. You know, this divides opinion, this one. And there's good and bad, and since this video itself will be predominantly me having a bit of a whinge, we will start with the positives. So for a start, it definitely adds more variety to the racing. It can make you enjoy racing in what would otherwise be less favourable cars, and be able to take them and adapt them to tracks where they may not have originally been suited from factory sort of settings or with balance of power on. Typically with GT Sport, especially near the end, as soon as there was a combination, Group 4 at the Red Bull Ring or whatever it was, we knew instantaneously which car it was going to be that would, you know, top the timesheets and everyone would be in. I think this time round we can see a little bit more variety happening, which is going to be very, very good. So that's certainly not a complaint from me. And I think because it costs quite a bit to purchase cars, to tune cars, and since the money so far at the moment doesn't seem to be too easy to come by, I think that many people will maybe choose their, you know, best 2, 3, 4, 5 cars and stick with those, tune them up to the best of their ability, have them as a super well-rounded car for all sorts of different tracks. So I think that could actually add a little bit of conflict. As much as we want the tuning and as much as we want that kind of variety there, it does prevent it from being plug in and play massively. The tuning definitely eradicates the ability to jump from Daily Race A, B and C and just be competitive immediately, which I think we perhaps became too accustomed to on GT Sport. There is no denying, however, on that game it was much easier to jump through the races and just get on and enjoy it. This we can't do. GT7 no longer allows that instantaneous plug in and play, race and enjoy. I spent 2 hours on my previous live stream tuning a pesky Scirocco just to try and get some decent results for Daily Race B. You do need to spend some time tuning the cars before you enter the races, which some people might enjoy, some people may be put off by. I myself, undecided as of yet. A few suggestions in terms of the daily races and tuning. I think it would be very, very good if we could have an option on there where we pay so many 1,000 credits for a quick tune or a recommended tune that would at least allow you to instantaneously have a semi-competitive car. I think that would very much help those who may struggle with the understanding and just make things a little bit more accessible. That way everyone can be on the pace a little bit quicker while still allowing those who want to take it a bit more serious to either extend that tune or just, you know, fully customize a car altogether. And just very quickly, this immediately leaves me onto a real pet peeve of mine, which I discovered during the live stream. The fact that you can't tune your car or purchase tuning parts once you've entered a race. You've got to cancel your race entry, go all the way back to the main menu, down into the tuning shop, go purchase the things that you want to tune, then go back to your car or enter the race and then do all of the tuning and tweaking in there. I find that really, really annoying, and it's going to result in a lot of people being very short for time between races. And I myself already missed a few entries as a result of that, which was just unbelievably annoying. So there is a lot of sort of pre-preparation that needs to be done in advance of entering races. I think to fix this, we could definitely do with a quick access button that allows you to move over to the tuning shop and quickly purchase the things that you need while still being entered in the race. That way you can purchase what you need, go to tweak it, and wherever you are when that timer hits 0, if you've entered the race, you get thrown in. And if you haven't finished tweaking, you haven't finished tweaking. But I would much rather that than having to cancel your entry altogether and risk missing it. To wrap up my points on tuning overall, we will move on. I actually love it, right? I love the idea of it. I love having to have a better understanding of the cars. It takes it one step closer to being a real driving simulator, as the marketing tactic is always deployed on. And I really do think that maybe instead of having daily race A, B and C all being tuned or balance of power off, all having tuning capabilities, maybe A and B, for example, stays as a balance of power race, and maybe daily race C or an additional race. We've been crying out for a bit more variety. Maybe a fourth race would be handy, or just one of them having tuning allowed and the rest having balance of power, just so that you still have some races and content there that is plug in and play, that is instant, and does allow you to have some fun and be competitive straight off the bat. Point number 6 is custom lobbies and multiplayers. Now, this was an issue that was actually raised by one of the guys who organises our British Heart Foundation Championship, which we of course run on GT Sport, soon to be GT7 now, and in the custom lobbies. Unfortunately, we can only have a maximum of 16 players in there at the moment. That would be awesome if it could be put back up to 20. I believe GT Sport was 20, could be wrong, but it would be amazing to have that at 30 or 40 and have at least just the option to have really big grids. And there is a few other things as well that similar to entering a race on the daily races. If you want to do any tuning, which our championship allows, you have to come back out of the lobby altogether, back to the main menu, back to the tuning shop, purchase what you need, and do that all over again, which is definitely going to become quite frustrating. There's definitely going to be a few people that then miss the race entries and all the rest of it as well, even in custom lobbies. A little bit frustrating, that one. Again, a quick access to the tuning shop while still being in the lobby, I think would be very helpful. Point number 7 is the tracks. Now, as soon as we mention the tracks and the layouts and the circuits, the first thing I have to say is how amazing they all do look. They look absolutely incredible. I think they've definitely been built, back again from the ground up. There's a lot of the tracks, especially the Nürburgring, I noticed at certain parts, where they have maybe replicated some of the resurfacing and all the rest of it that has just gone on at the Nürburgring. Which is very exciting and good to know. Everything, by the way, right? All of the physics, all of the real world times, the weather dynamics, everything looks absolutely incredible. But we're always going to want more tracks, and I think that's just that's inevitable. No matter how good each of them look, what we have at the moment, we could have 100 tracks on there. We're always going to want a few more, especially real world circuits. And we can see that it takes an absolute age to produce, so we can't be too picky, especially during COVID and everything else while the game was made. But we do have to say new tracks would be awesome. There is information there on the available updates or soon to be released updates that new tracks will be coming in some of those, and I really hope that it is new tracks, new circuits, as opposed to new layouts. But what is in there at the moment, we can't deny, it looks absolutely incredible. So my final couple of bugbears is the HUD, heads-up display, and the info displayed kind of on screen. I think there's a couple of things that is just a little bit annoying. It sort of looks, whilst we do have the new features of the grip meter against the weather and the weather radar, the actual HUD on the bottom does look, of course, it's no different to GT Sport. Which does make it feel like it was GT Sport with a bit of an update. It looks as if you've gone on to GT Sport to play the game and it said, hang on a minute, a few minutes to download an update, you've gone, all right, okay then, and then you've played it and these two things have appeared on the side. I do have to say it would be amazing if it just looked a little bit different, kind of reminded you that you were on a new game. However, I have zero design skills, so I am unable to actually say what I would like to see changed, but perhaps GT Sport was just, it did have the ultimate display on the bottom, because I can't personally think of any improvements. So it's a bit of a weird one. You kind of want it to feel like a new game. You're well aware that maybe it's a case of if it's not broken, don't fix it. But yeah, just a tiny little pet peeve. And with that, the radar on the bottom. When we do go to the track radar, the close-up radar, where you can see the other cars, you yourself as an icon and the other cars are now much smaller, which is a little bit weird. It was a bit of a pet peeve. Again, just too used to GT Sport, I think. But I think that one is a case of a few days racing on it, and we'll be used to it. That is pretty much going to be the video, though. That is my 8 things, 8.5, that annoy me about Gran Turismo 7. Now, whilst this has been a video or a rant about all of the things that annoy me, I have to say there are many more things that I like about the game than I dislike. There are many more great things than things I think could be improved. This is by far the best, definitely the best Gran Turismo, of course, but one of the best racing games out there in the world. It definitely takes us to actual sim racing level. I definitely think this can be considered an actual sim racing game now. I think previously with GT Sport there was a lot of question marks over some aspects of reality, but no, overall this is a tremendous game. I love the attention to detail in not only the cars, the tracks, but the weather dynamics, the actual real world physics, real world timings, the night skies and everything like that. It just looks incredible. Really, really excited to be playing this game a lot. So with that, make sure to subscribe. Plenty GT7 content, plenty motorsports content, F1, all that sort of stuff as well. Make sure to subscribe and let me know what you like about this game and things that you think the game may still be missing. So much to look forward to. Make sure to subscribe and I shall catch you in the next video. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe for future videos, future episodes and more content just like this. And while you're down there, make sure you check out our description for links to our merch store to get hold of awesome t-shirts just like this one. Any orders on the merch store goes a long, long way to supporting channels just like this. I also think the t-shirts look pretty cool, so make sure you grab what you can and I shall see you in the next episode.